Hello everyone. Now on Boxing Day I sowed the traditional onions as usual. Didn't do the leeks then because, well, it's not traditional. But we went over some basic seed sowing things, and it was mostly talking about the soil sieves and the importance of sieving the soil. I want to move one step further on now and talk about actual propagation and heat sources at this time of the year. Now, a general purpose and very good quality, and one I still use, is just one of these heating trays. It's got one of these covers as well in the kitchen for it, but this is just a gentle heat propagator. There's no settings on it. You plug it in, you get a gentle heat, and that's enough to start many things in it. I've just got a little bit of capillary matting in the bottom there so I can water in there and my seedlings get the water from underneath. So that's the first one, that's the basic one. I've also got a windowsill propagator in the kitchen, which is just exactly the same as that, thinner, so it fits on a windowsill. And then I've got this a little bit more fancy one. Again, it's the same sort of tray as the one I've just shown you, and you plug it in, but this one you have a probe that you can put into the compost pot or into your tray so that the compost will get to a desired heat, which you could set there, and it's anywhere from 12 to 28 degrees. So you can do precise temperatures in there for some things that need much more precise temperatures. So that's a second option. That's a little bit more expensive than the bog standard, just gentle bottom heat as they call it. Now we'll move on and I'll show you the beast now. So this is the beast. It's 8 foot long by 2 foot wide and about 2 foot high. And at the minute I've got some bags of compost and little bottles of water on there. What it is a heated base. I've got a coil of cable coming backwards and forwards, coiled all along there, and it's on a bed of sand. And this is all controlled by this thermostat down here. And coming out of the thermostat is this thing here, the probe, similar to my other propagator. And what I'm going to do with this now is I've got these compost on here, and I'm just going to put that probe into that bag of compost. The thermostat is set, I think, to 28 degrees. It's currently 24. It's going to continue dropping now because it's gone into a cold bag of compost. And the reason I've put that in there is I want this propagator bench to heat up now and heat this compost so I can sow my seeds into warmish compost and give them that better a start. It's the same thing with these bottles of water. These will also heat to the same temperature overnight. By tomorrow this will all be ready to start being used. And I use these things on these bottles. They're just old water bottles, flavoured water, and this is bottle top waterers. Now you can look on eBay and find these things readily. Just look for bottle top waterers and you'll find them. A couple of quid and you'll get a whole set of them. So I'll put a link up above, a little card, which will show you how I made this thing. But I use these bottles of water to water the seeds, like these onions here. I haven't yet taken them inside. I'll water the top of these until the plants start coming up. Once they start to come up, they're a little bit fragile to be watered from above. So what I have in here is this plastic sheet at the bottom, and you can't really see it clearly. Let's see in this corner. You can see it's coming up the sides, and underneath you can see the sand that's covering the heating cable. So as the plants start to come out of the soil and compost, I will water directly into the plastic there, and that will water the plants from underneath, thus protecting them even further. All this on top is bubble wrap. This covers it, and I'll just bring it all down and fetch you back. So there we go. I thought it best to do that without videoing it because it makes a hell of a rustling noise. But that's now covered and protected for any of the plants that are in there. I've just taken these out of there. These are antirrhinums or snapdragons. So you can see the temperature of the compost has now dropped to, I think it says 15 degrees now. Well, by tomorrow morning that should say 26, 27, and in the 20s somewhere anyway. Next to it here we have a frost heater. Now this one is brand new. The other one just broke a few weeks ago and I lost some plants in here, but that's just kept on a really low heat, just to keep the frost off in here. That's all I wanted to do. I don't want to heat in here. If I was going to heat in here I would have to put bubble wrap all around the inside of the greenhouse. It's doable, but it's a right pain in the seated area to do, so I don't bother with that. So there we go, that's the beast. Now some of you might be thinking, well, there's an absence of lights. There's a reason for that. Now you can get fancy fandango propagators like this that come with lights fitted, and if you're going to use them, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. In fact, I don't have a problem with it if you want to use lights at all, but I don't think you need them unless you're sort of starting off. Like I know there's a few people out there who grow giant onions, and they might sow them back in October, and once they come up they're going to need a light, because you're in that dark time of the year right now where nothing is growing very much. So you could possibly need lights for doing that, or if you're starting chili peppers for instance as well, you start them early in the year or even late last year, and in that respect lights are needed, but otherwise you don't need them. There's plenty of daylight in this country. We're in the UK obviously, and I don't think you need lights, so I grow everything I grow without lights. I'm not saying I won't use lights. I mean, I have got a couple of lights in the shed there. I just don't ever use them, don't ever feel I need them. I have considered that next year, later next year, I might use them for microgreen growing, but we'll see. I haven't fully decided on that. I want to go down a couple of other avenues first with them before I get into using lights and using electricity basically, when I don't really need to do it, and setting up another area to do it. I've got everything set up the way I like. I can grow plants accurately and grow them well. There's no doubt about it, lights will grow your plants better and quicker too. But if you're growing them under lights at this time of the year, then you've got to question really why. Because you'll speed the plant growth up and get them to a point where they're ready to go in the ground, but then put them outside into the ground or under cover, and are they going to grow in the current conditions that we've got? See, this is where I think it's not really all that necessary. I mean, I've got some salad leaves there. They've been grown for a month and they're no bigger than seedlings, but we will eat them as seedlings over the coming weeks. They'll grow a little bit more. You can probably just see them there. But otherwise, I don't think there's any point in sowing lettuce at this time of the year. Wait a month and they'll be far more ahead of those plants if you wait a month when the day length is longer and you've got more light in the day. This time of the year is just too short for lettuce really. But there you go, there's some quick setup ideas. You can go for a really cheap gentle heat one, and for most people that will work adequately. I've used them for absolute years and never had a problem with them. They work very well. It's only certain species that need a particular temperature where they will pay benefits to get in one of these, which is, I've only had this for about 4 years I think, just as long as I've had this beast going here. I think this is 4 or 5 years old, and this is fantastic. I could fit lights to this if I wanted to, wouldn't take too much, but again I don't really see the need or necessity for it. I grow everything I need to without using artificial light, so I'm more than happy with that. But you can make your choices. There are a lot out there now of very good lights, and I know a lot of YouTubers for instance will review them and show you them as well, but at this stage it's not really for me. So this beast propagator now is heating up the water, heating up the compost to all the same temperature, so that in a couple of days time I can sow some seeds, get started on next year's crops, and we'll talk about them when we get to them. But for the moment, let's say the compost is heating, because you don't want any shocks to the seed system. I'm looking over now at the thermostat and it's reading 14 degrees, so that would have been the temperature I would have been putting hot weather seeds into, 14 degrees, and then heating it up slowly by putting it on the propagator. But I'm doing it all at the same time so that the Compost is the right temperature for the seeds, as is the water that I'm going to water them with, and I'll continue to do that through the next couple of months until weather starts to warm up, day length is longer, and it's better for all the plants that way. But anyway, that's it for this one. It's just a few more seed sowing basics and a little bit of info about propagators if you were looking to go and buy one. I will put some links underneath in the description for the gentle heat ones, a good one with a thermostat, and also for the soil warming cables. All right, so anyway, there we go. Look after yourselves, everyone. Stay safe, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Ta-ra now.